All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever your time zone may be. I don't know where you guys at, but today I want to talk about something that I think that we all can be able to have a conversation on. What that people need to sit down and be able to discuss. So I happen to see something from the Shade Room article. And this article is called Tennessee Woman Explains How Her Man of 18 Years Cleaned Out Their Home and Left Her While She Was on a Work Trip. So, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and read this article. But make sure you guys check out my channel, subscribe to my channel, which is Tiffany French channel. So, make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification bell whenever I come on. That way, you'll be able to know. You can check all the contents out, etc. So, anyways. Um, Let me go ahead and read this article, and then after I read it, I'm gonna give my commentaries and thought on this. Okay. So the article says, TSR exclusive detail. It could happen to you. Portia Rosman warns, but she wouldn't wish what happened to her on her worst enemy. After a week in Las Vegas for a work convention, Portia returned to the Tennessee home she shared with her husband on Saturday, only to find the place nearly cleaned out. Portia shared her Halloween experience with her TikTok followers, then watched the video blow up overnight. Portia exclusively tells us she has not heard from him since and found that he had blocked her number as well as her social media pages. He left no letter, no explanation, and she racked her brain trying to figure out why he would do this to her, especially considering things seemed fine before she left for her trip. I got home. I opened the door and I screamed so loud. I'm sure my neighbor heard me, Portia tells us. I cried. My entire apartment, everything was gone. Damn. All right, then she goes on to say, Portia, who is a newly certified self-love coach, explained that their marriage had their issues like any other, but she doesn't believe he was justified in leaving her the way he did. She said they had previously discussed separating a while back because she claims her husband was not comfortable with her pursuing her entrepreneurial dreams. Entrepreneurship was on my heart and he wasn't for that, she said. It made him uncomfortable. Portia says he gave her an ultimatum in regard to choosing her passion and living separately or choosing their marriage, but she said there wasn't any discussion or plan to end things. She added that before she left for her trip, he was very sweet, almost calculated. She claimed he romanced her and the two even slept together the night before she left. I felt like I got played, she said. Then during her trip to Vegas, she went to attend a business convention. She said they were communicating before he stopped testing her altogether. The plan was to come back and eat crab legs, Portia joked. There was nothing in my mind that told me this would happen. Nothing malicious was said. Then the bomb dropped when she arrived back home Saturday. Her brother-in-law picked her up from the airport. When she got home, she found their apartment almost completely empty. So I'm just gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there. So far as I'm reading this article, the question comes into mind: what was going on within their marriage? Was it something deep that happened for the husband to decide that he wanted to leave her and move on and take all the items? What was really going on within their marriage? Maybe there's something that she's not telling us or telling the shade room or whoever. Maybe there's something that she's keeping. Or maybe there's something that he's not telling her. Because there's no way a man could leave a woman because she has a business trip. If you feel like you have to leave your woman due to the fact that she's working on becoming an entrepreneur and she doing all kind of business trip, then that just kind of shows that, well, it shows that you are a narcissist. It shows narcissism. It shows somebody that's being selfish. And it shows there is some form of jealousy. That's what it sounds like to me. If that's what the case was. Again, this person did not really go into a lot of detail. So, we don't know if she did something to make him leave, or if he's doing something and he trying to keep it from her and he decided that he wants to leave. But let me go ahead and read further into the article. And it says, Porsche claims her husband took all her major furniture, including the couch, the dining room set, the washer and dryer, their bed, as well as their television and their computer. To add insult to the injury, she claims the same brother-in-law who picked her up from the airport helped her husband load and move their stuff while she was gone. She called his mother immediately after she couldn't get in contact with him, and claims his mother said Porsche was just upset because he beat her to the punch. My mother is deceased. That was my mother figure, Porsche said of her mother-in-law. I quickly realized she was on her son's side. But despite this shocking life experience, Porsche continues to keep her head high. When asked why she shared her video, she said it was her own form of release. I felt like the way he did things, I felt like it was God closing the door, Porsche said. On top of not speaking to him, she feels they may never talk again outside of mediation to settle their divorce. Divorce, sorry. The way things went down, if I never see him again, it will be too soon, she said. After sharing her story, Porsche added that multiple women have come forward to share similar experiences and offer their support. She adds she even received gifts from complete strangers, including food and a brand new mattress. Moving forward, Porsche says she wants to be able to help women should they ever be in her situation. I would just tell women, if it's on your heart to leave, leave the first time and don't let this happen to you. Alright. So obviously, she's saying that they was going through the process of divorce or discussing about divorce. So, it sounds like to me that they were going to end up getting a divorce because of the fact that this woman going on a business trip and she won't put as much focus on the marriage, but she'll put more focus on entrepreneurship. I mean, I'm just trying to get everything together. I'm trying to solve this puzzle. It's still not really making sense to me because we'll never get the husband's account. We'll never find out why the husband left. Obviously he disappeared without a trace. That's what he did. So we will never find out why he left this woman. But only thing we have is her account. Only thing we got is her side of the story. So basically she was saying that there was some issues they had in their marriage, and she was talking about focusing on her business and going on the trips. And he was telling her that if you gonna go on the trips, then you might as well live separately, or if you want to be in this marriage, you're going to have to go ahead and forget about your trip. I'm going to say this. Never let somebody tell you to choose your marriage over your passion. If you are an entrepreneur, right? If you focusing on entrepreneurship and that other person have a problem with that, then obviously they should never got with you in the beginning. They should never got with you in the beginning. They should never got with you in the first place. If they have a problem with what you're doing. They should never got with you in the first place, because obviously that means that that person is in it for some type of control and they have some type of insecurity issues. And if that's the case, that person was not meant to be with you in period, point blank. And I'm gonna say this especially for the women. If a man had to tell you to give up your goals and aspirations just to be with him, you might want to be careful, because that's a red flag. If he tell you give up your goal and aspiration just to be with him, that's a red flag. Because any man that really truly love his woman and truly supports her, he will stand behind her 100% regardless of what she's doing. He will support her 100%. And this is one of the reasons why people always ask the question, why women don't want to get involved in a relationship, why men don't want to get involved in a relationship. This is why. Because one minute you in a relationship with somebody, you think everything is working out, everything is okay. Then next thing, the person leaves you. And they leave you without a trace. They leave you with no response. They leave you with no phone calls. And you're left with the burden alone. So as I was reading this article, I also read some comments on Facebook regarding to this article. One lady said that her husband left her and she was in debt. She ended up trying to pay all the bills by herself. He left her with a whole lot of debt. So here it is, your man done left you and he left you in debt. And a lot of times that's women's biggest fear. That's one of the reasons why women don't want to get involved in relationships. They don't, because they worry that if this person end up leaving them, they're going to leave them with a burden. They're going to leave without a trace. They're going to leave them to have to deal with things on their own. That's why some women decide to be independent or be go-getters, because at least in their mind they ain't got to worry about not being able to have anything for themselves, not being able to have their pocket. It's not so much of you trying to outdo your partner or you trying to be better than them. No, you trying to make sure you cover your ass. You making sure you cover your ass, so when that motherfucker decide that he wants to leave and move on to the next woman or whatever, you got something to back you up. You got something that's gonna make sure that you are financially stable, making sure that you be able to still have a roof over your head. So it's not so much in competition with the man and trying to outdo the man and all this, that, and the other. It's more so I gotta look after myself. I gotta take care of myself. Cause if something happens, especially if you're in a marriage, people gotta realize that marriage is a business. It's not just about love. It's a business. It's like you signing a contract. Once that contract is broken, now you gotta go figure out, okay, who is going to have this share of items, or who's going to have this house, who's going to have this car, who's going to have a piece of this finance, etc., etc., and who's going to be paying child support. Oh, don't forget about that. If you got children, you might be paying child support on top of that, unless you decide to have a joint custody. But other than that, if you had an ugly ass divorce, somebody gonna end up paying child support. You know what I'm saying? So here's the thing. You have to really like thoroughly investigate on the person. I know that sounds kind of like FBI-ish, but you gotta do your background check on the individual, and you have to take things slow. You have to take things slow, and you have to make sure that this is what you want and this is what that person wants. Because just like women can be very indecisive about things and not able to articulate what they want, men can be very indecisive and not articulate what the hell they want either. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times men can leave your ass perplexed. I'm just gonna keep it real. A man can leave a woman perplexed and not understand what's going on. She's in a state of confusion because she's not figuring out if she did something wrong or if it's something going on with him because he's not communicating. And that's the worst thing you can do. The worst thing you can do is not say nothing at all in a relationship. The worst thing you can do is not communicate with somebody about your feelings and problems. Because by you keeping your mouth closed all day and not saying nothing, it's only going to make matter worse. I mean, certain things you shouldn't say. Certain things you should just be careful what you say. You know, certain things you should keep to yourself. But if you keep everything to yourself and you don't communicate with the person that you love, that you claim that you love at that, then you only make matter worse. You make matter worse. And especially when you're keeping secrets, that would tear everything apart. Because as soon as somebody finds out your secret, that's the worst thing that could ever happen into a relationship. That's the worst thing. So, if people ever wonder why people decide to be single and don't want to be in a relationship, this is why. Because they don't want to have to deal with the fact that this person ups and leaves. If a person gonna do a disappearing act, they might as well be single. They might as well not even look for love no more. Because people want to make sure they focus on themselves. People got their own issue they trying to deal with. And they don't want to bring the burden into a relationship. And they don't want somebody else bringing their burdens from a previous relationship into a new one. Because there are people who has a burden from their previous marriage or previous situation, and they bring it into a relationship with someone else, and then somebody else got to deal with those burdens. And that's not fair. You know, so just the thing is, you got to be careful when you jump into marriage, because you have to understand when you're in a relationship, especially when you're into marriage, there's a lot of commitment that got to be involved in it. There's a lot that's involved in that. And people who jump in and they're not ready. They only saying that because they speaking from an emotional standpoint. But are you speaking from a logical standpoint? Yeah, you might be emotionally attached to that individual, but are you ready for what's gonna come in the long run? Are you ready for what's gonna take place in the long run? Because if you're not ready for what's gonna take place in the long run, then you may want to reconsider that. Yeah. And then another thing too, before I get off of here, I another thing, don't let nobody make you feel bad because you are not in a relationship. Don't let people get in your head and say that, oh, you can't get a man because X, Y, and Z, because you this, that, and other, or you can't get a woman because X, Y, and Z. You have your own reason for not being in a relationship. Everybody has their own reason, okay? Everybody don't have to get married if they don't want to. Everybody don't have to have a boyfriend or girlfriend if they choose not to. It's not an obligation. There is no rule book that says you gotta have a boyfriend, you gotta have a girlfriend, or you got to be married right away. No, there is no rule book that says that. You don't have to be. That's a choice. That's a choice. It's a choice to be in a relationship. It's not an obligation. This ain't no ancient time period where people would send their kids off to marry somebody else because of financial reason or because they want to keep the tribe going or whatever. This ain't that time period, okay? Those days are over with. I mean, there's some people that still try to practice child marriage and all of that other stuff, but for the most part, we're in a modern era. People can choose to be in a relationship, or people can choose not to. You have no, other people can't tell other folks when to get married and when not to get married. You can't cause people to be guilty or feel ashamed that the fact that they're not involved with somebody. You can't do that. That's not your place. So for those who do, the question is, what's your marriage looking like? Let's see what your relationship looking like. And for anything, that person is better off being single, because looking at some of y'all relationship and looking at some of y'all marriage is very discombobulated and it's a tragedy. It's very tragic. And then that's when somebody like me looking like you ain't got no place to tell somebody you ain't got no place to tell somebody they ain't got this, they ain't other. They need to go get a man this, they ain't other. When you need to get a damn divorce, when you need to get the fuck up out of your relationship because you in a toxic ass shit. That person done gaslight your ass. You in a gaslight relationship. That you ain't in no love type shit. You being gaslighted. And most women don't even realize that when they get in a relationship with these niggas out here, with these men, they don't realize that they being gaslighted. They don't realize they being gaslighted because they operate from the state of emotion and not from the state of logic. Yep. But that's it. That's all I want to talk about. So until next time, y'all take it easy on yourself. Again, this your girl Tiffany, and I'm finna go ahead and log off and make sure y'all check out my YouTube channel, which is Tiffany French. And from there, I'll continue to post up good content. Making sure I post up information about history, about science, about current events, and some psychology type stuff, etc. So until then, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all take it easy. Peace. All right.